Just to make it clear, this video is about how to process your images and a sound recording into a video file and sync it all up correctly after you've done a frame by frame scan. And frame by frame scans are better because rather than recording video on the camera through the projector lens or whatever, you're scanning it frame by frame, which is much better because you don't get problems with frames being merged together and the motion not being correct. So this is a much better way to do it. If you want to figure out how to make a projector, modify it for frame by frame scanning, I do have other videos on my channel for that, which you can watch before you watch this one. Today's video will be about how to convert 16mm sound films. And you could also use it for silent as well, but I'm going to try my best to show the full process, taking you through all the programs I use and how I do it. So the film I'm going to be converting today is yet another cheap one I got, and it's called Sugar in Your Kitchen, and I'm assuming it's a film about various foods in your kitchen that contain sugar. So I've noticed first thing out of the box, it's not got a leader on it. It starts pretty much straight away, so I'm going to splice a leader on the cheap and dirty way. By the way, I've not actually got a splicer, and it's not just any ordinary leader, it'll be a syncing leader which I will make so I can make a syncing sound to match up. And the reason I use a syncing leader is so I can get that leader in before the film actually starts. And you've also got to make a syncing follower as well, so you'll actually have to unravel the whole film and get to the end. So here's a syncing leader that I prepared earlier, and so what we've got is just normal leader first, about 2 meters of that just for threading into the projector. So that's going to run through the projector like that, all that leader. And then I've managed to get an auction one on eBay for clear leader. I've got a whole box of assorted leader, but I've got a good roll of clear stuff as well. So basically what I've done is I've marked a soundtrack just for one frame, so when that passes through the optical sound part of the projector, it's going to make a noise. And then 26 frames afterwards, I've just got a mark, and I've just wrote sync start and just drew a square around it. And the reason they're so far apart is because in 16mm film, for sound, the picture is 26 frames ahead of the sound. Because if you imagine this is in the projector, the sound head is down there and the picture gate is away up here, so it just keeps them in sync. And then I've just done it a few times. I've just made marks like that with the picture being 26 frames ahead of the sound, and then this end I will splice onto the film. So to splice this way, you just need sellotape and something to cut it with, and alcohol, and then a cloth just to make sure the film is really clean before you actually splice it. So you need something to weigh it down as well while you do the splicing. So you need to cut the film properly first. This is how you want the film to be cut on both sides. You want to cut it as straight as you can and go halfway through one of the perforation holes, so that when you join it back together you get a full hole. Cutting the film is usually quite easy. You don't have to cut right through it with the blade. You can usually score it and then it will just snap when you bend it. So I'm just trying to get this as neat as I can, sort of through the middle of the perforation hole there, and then I'll just score it back and forward a few times, and that should hopefully just break when I snap it like that. There we go. It's not a very straight cut, but that's basically the idea that you're wanting. The two ends to be joined should now be cleaned with isopropyl alcohol so the tape sticks as effectively as possible. Just get all of the dirt off. Basically you just soak it in alcohol, give it a good rub, and then use a dry area of the cloth just to take off the excess alcohol, and then that cleans it quite well, and then you just do the same on both ends. Once that's done, get a piece of sellotape, stick a side up on the work surface, and then you want to bring the two ends of the film together as accurately as possible. Try and remove any curls from the film. It's quite difficult to do, and then you've got to get the tape underneath the two ends, and then just press it down, or you could press down one end first and use a tool to press it down and make it stick. Just using the end of a memory stick here to get it stuck, and then just do the same on the other end, press it down as accurately as possible. Making sure those two ends meet as straight as possible. And once you've got that reasonably well stuck, you just fold over the tape like this, and then just give it a good rub so it's all stuck down, and then that's the splice complete. And then all you'll do is just perforate the tape where the film perforations are, or else it may damage the projector. And for that, I've actually got a very small file that I use that just makes the holes, and that works fine. And then once you've made your holes, just remember to trim off the excess at the side. So once that leader is all put on, you need to wind the film all the way to the end and put a end leader on, or the follower, so you know where the end point is in the soundtrack. In the case of this film print, I'm not actually going to need to make up a separate sinking tail. So the tail of this film is it's got lots of clear areas that I can just use to make my own sinking follower. So I'm thinking what I could do is just use this as the sink point for the tail, for the end of the film. And so it's going to be running through the projector in this direction here, so I want to use this as my marker. So hopefully I've got 26 frames afterwards in this direction where I can put my sync mark on the audio. So yeah, it's running through the projector this way, coming towards the end, so 26 frames after that point is here at this number 14, and all you do is you just get a black Sharpie pen and just make some stripes on the soundtrack. So there's our mark, and that will make a noise when this is at the film gate. The next task is to actually record the sound output from the projector. So I've got another video about how I set this thing up on my channel. So you basically just connect to the speaker output just through an attenuator consisting of resistors. I just use a 10k potentiometer, and you can use just an external audio recorder, for example one of those nice Zoom recorders. Use a high quality one, because the higher quality ones I imagine would have more accurate clock generators inside them, so they won't drift out of sync as much as maybe a cheaper one. But I don't have an audio recorder, so I have to actually connect audio into the camera and then take the sound off the video as a WAV file using software. But if you just get an audio recorder that records to WAV, it'll make it much simpler. So you just, you're just basically threading the projector until it, and then just basically starting it and then recording the sound, and then basically just stop once the film's finished, and that's it. So now I will show you how to organise and convert the pictures and sounds into a video file. So we've got all our images here. You want to make sure that your first image is the sync start mark that you made on the film, and the last one is the last sync point that you made or found, and you've also got your sound there which you produced. In my case I converted it off the video file that I recorded using my camera. So what you would do is you would just copy them all off the camera into this folder, and sometimes there will be splits in the file names because the camera puts them as, in my case, 999 files per folder, so it's split it up quite a bit, and then you just go to rename and then give them all the same file name, and then Windows will automatically put a number after it. We will be using Virtual Dub and Audacity, so you want to open the first image. So you just select the first image, automatically it will import them all, and then we want to scan the video stream for errors. There are no errors in these images anyway, so I'm going to skip this step, but you should always do that just to make sure, because I've had cases where I've been exporting the file and then it took hours, and then close to the end of the render there's a video, and because Virtual Dub is not that well programmed, it won't encode a corrupted frame. It'll just completely exit and ruin everything, so you have to use that option. And now what I want to do is crop the images, because as you can see, got a lot of black around them, so we just want to find a point in the video where we've got where the framing is obvious. I think maybe here would do. So you would just go to filters. First one you'd add is flip vertically. Just depend on how you convert your films. In some cases with your lens it's going to be upside down. In all cases I'd imagine. And then in there you just want to go cropping, and then just basically resize it. So I like to just crop off the perforations at the edge, because you can see those a bit part of the film perf, but that's because I've widened the gate of the projector quite a bit. That's a modification you'll need to do, because they do cut off quite a bit of the picture. I'll just try and find another place where the framing's rather obvious. Yes, here's a good area to use. So you just want to frame it just like that. Then make sure this number here is even. There we go. So that seems okay for a crop. Then after that you want to add a resize filter. And the resolution after cropping is not really good enough to do 4K, and you're not really getting that much extra detail anyway, so I'm just going to do full HD. So it's a 4:3 aspect ratio for this film anyway, so 1440 by 1080. So we just want to disable the aspect ratio. It might cause a very slight bit of stretching, but it'll not be noticeable. And we want to select the resizing algorithm to this one, which is the best quality, and that's what the output looks like. So we'll just make this one the smallest, and there we go. We can see that it's reasonably well cropped. The way they've produced this film, there are black edges in places. That's nothing to do with the film moving around, that's just the way they've made it, maybe using a different camera or whatever. Next, I want to change the frame rate to 25, and I'm using 25. I'm going to resample the audio and everything at 25 frames per second, and that's because in the UK we use the proper correct PAL standard of 25 frames per second, which most TVs are in multiples of 25 and 50 on their refresh rate, so I have to use 25 to get the best motion quality. We do speed up the video very slightly, but that's not really noticeable. And then what we want to do is save that as an uncompressed AVI file. So I've already done this, and then you can just save this. What I do is I save it to another hard drive, not the one that it's reading the file off, because I think if it's reading and writing to the same hard drive, it's going to slow down a bit maybe, although I can't be certain on that. So the next thing to do is open that uncompressed file in VirtualDub again, and the reason we've created that uncompressed file before we do all the audio work is because it's much quicker to read from a single file than reading from all of those images, and the computer having to resize them all and crop them in real time. And you're able to, usually if your hard drive is fast enough, play them back in real time as well. So the first thing we need to do is resize our audio file, and I've already opened it here. This is a file that I made, which I just extracted from a video I recorded with my camera, just with the camera's microphone input plugged into the projector. So we're looking for our start points, and they are here. And that's what they will sound like on the video. So what we want to do is trim to the first one. So just get that right at the start there. And that noise there matches up exactly with this image here, this first frame. So then we want to go all the way to the end of the audio file. Zoom this out a bit, and the end mark, the end sound is there. So we want to trim that off, preferably exactly. And then we want to export that. So we then just export that audio file as sugar trimmed, or whatever name we want to give it, and just let that process. Now the next task is to, in VirtualDub, go to audio, then audio from other file. Then we want to select that trimmed file we created. Then what you want to go into is video, then frame rate. Then pay attention to this number. So with the sound and video, for the sound and video to be exactly the same length and frame rate, that would mean 24.272 frames per second. For that's the frame rate that the video would need to run at for the audio to be the same duration, basically. So what I want to do is take that number and put it into percentage calculator, or do it in your head if you're clever enough, unlike me, and put it from 24.272 to 25. Then you want to go back into Audacity and change the speed of the audio so it is matching up with 25 frames per second. And I'm choosing 25 because that is the correct PAL standard to use. Most monitors are a multiple of 25 or 50, and here in the UK, so, and it's a 24 frames per second file, so to get the best motion quality we just resample it a bit. So we want to go to change speed, and then we've already got the number in here, so that's 2.999, and as you can see that will shorten the file by a few seconds, but it's not really that perceptible anyway. For the correct frame rate, it's worth it. So we'll just call that one Sugar Final. And then once we've done that, we will import that file into VirtualDub. Now when we check the frame rate, it should now be 25. With us resampling the video, resampling the sound to slightly faster, changing the speed, it will now match up. The video will now have to run at 25 frames per second to be exactly the same duration as the sound. So we can leave this, and now you can just save this out as an uncompressed AVI file, or you can compress it, I use just this codec set to 100 megabit per second, or you can run the uncompressed AVI file through handbrake or whatever, and that's the entire process, and you should hopefully see that it's perfectly in sync after you've done that. And I've already gone through this and I can confirm that it does work perfectly, so that's pretty much how it's done.